Okay. Hello guys, welcome to the vlog. If you guys don't know me, my name is Bella. It's so good to see all your wonderful faces here today. Today we are going to be talking about Unravel Me, the book. Not only just the book, but the ending too. The beginning, the end, everything in the middle. Just absolutely everything about it. So let's get started. So before I get started, I just wanted to say that I'm gonna try to avoid spoilers, just in case you're watching this review as like a decider if you should read the book or not. Which honestly, yes, you should 100%. I give this book. I'm just gonna start off by saying I give this book a 4-star out of 5 review, and I usually do not give books 5 stars. I gave the Maze Runner trilogy 5 stars, and I gave the first book 5 stars, but so the first half of the book was like really slow. Maybe like the first two-thirds of the book. It was just really slow. And it was really laid back. It was kind of like the Insurgent of the Shatter Me series. It was just really slow, really chill, really laid back and stuff. I don't know. I didn't really know how I felt about it until after I had finished reading it. Because I was like, well, I want to keep reading it because it gets a lot better in the next book. I know that for a fact. Because my friend that's already read the series, she's like 2 books ahead of me. She told me it gets a lot better in the next book. Also, if I sound a little congested, it's because I am. I have a very stuffy nose right now, and I think it's just like the change in weather. But don't worry, guys. I'm totally fine. I'm recovering from being sick last week. We're good. So I read the Shatter Me book, and I absolutely loved it. And then my grandmother actually bought me the whole series for Christmas, which was super awesome because I know that books are expensive. So just the fact that she did that and then got me other presents on top of it was like so awesome. But anyway, yeah, so like I said, the first like half, 2/3 of the book were really slow. Not much happened. There were there were some tension in relationships. Some things happened, some things were said, some things were not said. And then okay, so there is going to be a spoiler right now. I know I said I was going to try to avoid it, but I have to. It's just a minor spoiler, semi minor spoiler. I don't know. But if you want to, here's a timestamp if you want to skip ahead. But at like the last part, the last few chapters of the book, Aaron Warner and Juliet, they like make out and stuff, and honestly, Juliet pissed me off so much, and like, excuse my language, but like, she pissed me off so much. I wanted to gouge my eyes out with a spoon, which is how I feel every time I hear Adam Kent's name.
Wound up going to the hospital where they determined that his optic nerve had been severed in his eye. Apparently.
Yeah, I really don't like that guy, and Juliet really made me mad because she led Aaron on, and then he was like, "You should escape with me," and she was like, "No," and then she chose his brother or his half brother. I don't know if it's his half brother or his whole brother. It was never really, I don't know. It was never really clarified. But anyway, she chose his brother over him, and he didn't even know that it was his brother. That's so terrible. Like, why didn't they tell him? I absolutely love the author of this series because she made everything just so dramatic, but not to the point where I was like, oh my god, it's just drama after, like, just drama. it was so like tense and dramatic, and I felt like I was actually living in the story. And it wasn't really one of those books that I like kind of forgot I was reading, but it was definitely one of those books where I like looking back to 2 days ago when I was reading the book, I was like I could have sworn I was there. So I don't know. It's kind of like when I was in the moment reading the book, I realized, hey, I'm just reading a book. But then when I'm like a couple of days in the future, now it's like I could have sworn that was like a real memory, and it's so weird how our brains do that. But there is a scientific study that was done that shows that when a character dies in a book, our brains don't register books as books. They don't process that information as an actual book. Our brains think that it's actually happening, that we're actually there, we're actually observing everything, which is so cool. And I know that's a little off topic. But I just thought I would share that little bit of information with y'all because it seemed kind of relevant. Um, but yeah, so there was some crazy stuff going on, and then towards the last like 10 chapters, I was like, oh my god, everything was so like frazzled and frantic, and everyone was having to like rush around all these places and just have to get to point A from point A to point B super super quick because they are going to die if they didn't. And it was so intense and dramatic and insane, and I am so happy I read it. There were a lot of strikeouts, which the author said they're meant to be there, and they're meant to show the chaos going on in Juliet's mind, which I get, because when I read when I read behind the strikeout, I'm like, oh my gosh, she can't make up her mind about what she actually wants, does she? Um, but it's crazy. And then like, while she was in the asylum, she was actually starting to slowly go insane, I think. And that's just how the author, how she managed to write that is beyond me. I don't know how she did that. I am a small-time author myself. I write short stories, and I'm actually putting together a magazine for school. Writing and literature are my favorite classes, and I'm starting to write short stories like on my own time. So like I'm like a small-time author. Oh my god, I totally just turned that around and made it about me. I'm so sorry, guys. But it was so flipping crazy to me how she was able to do that. And I give her my complete and total respect for that. Because how she managed to write about a character who was locked in an asylum for being insane, even though she was never really insane, and slowly making her lose her sanity. So freaking crazy. I don't know how she managed to do that. Um okay, I threw my hair up really quick, but it was so crazy and cool to read about that and realize like Juliet really is losing her sanity. Um but Unravel Me, it was kind of crazy reading it and then reading the ending, and then I started reading Ignite Me today after I read, I think it was Destroy Me. It was like book 2.5 or something, and I read that whole thing today in like an hour because it was only like 50 pages. So I read it all in like an hour, and then I moved on to Ignite Me. So I've been reading that, and then Ignite Me is insane. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into that right now. But Unravel Me, there were so many just emotions, so many thoughts. And honestly, Juliet made me so mad, and some of the choices she made, some of the things she said and did, they made me really 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 mad. And it was like, how could you do that to a person? Like, where's your humanity? But then at the same time, I'm like, I kind of get it. She was locked in an asylum for almost a year. Before that, she was in detention centers and juvie. Like, she was in all of she never really had any real human interaction, like actual just human interaction outside of those like detention centers and the asylum. And even in the asylum, she didn't have any human interaction at all until Adam. So it was just so crazy. It was just so crazy to be reading about that. And then I was like looking back on when I was reading the first Shatter Me book, and I was like, that's so crazy. How have we come so far in just a few pages? Like just a couple hundred pages. It's absolutely insane to me how authors can do that. Sorry guys, I'm going to be rubbing my eye a lot during this video because I have a cat. And I get cat hair in my eyes all the time. I feel one right here. But I'm sorry, it's really annoying. But Juliet, some of the things she said and she did, like I completely understand a few of them, but some of them it's just like, where's the logic in it? Like where like but I'm not gonna blame the author because I know it's not the author. I know the author is writing Juliet like that on purpose because the way she writes some other characters are just so genius and perfect and absolutely amazing. So I know that she's writing Juliet to be that way on purpose. Um and it's just so weird to me how much has happened in just the span of like 600 pages. And it's so weird to me that I could read ink, just words on paper. I could just read words on paper, just ink, black ink on white paper, and my brain thinks that I'm actually living in this situation. I'm actually living in this virtual, not even virtual, like this imaginary world that I've created for myself. And it's so crazy and cool that I get to trick my brain into thinking it because I'm not getting to live it, but my brain is. Every time I pick up a book, my brain is. And that's so cool that I get to do that. Like, it feels like such a privilege. And honestly, reading books is such a privilege. And oh my gosh, I'm getting off topic again. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. My mind is almost as messy as Juliet's, except I have my priorities straight. And I know which guy is toxic and which guy is not. But it's fine. But yeah, so I'm like 20, I think I'm like 18 chapters in to Ignite Me right now. And honestly, Juliet just continues to make me really mad. But I hope that in Ignite Me, she can get her priorities straight and she realizes who is actually the right guy and who she has been manipulated into thinking is the right guy. She has been lied to and manipulated so many times without even knowing it. And it's so crazy. And it's so sad to me. Sorry, guys. It is so sad for me to watch that. Because I've been lied to and manipulated before by people who I have cut out of my life now. But it's so crazy. Because at some point I was oblivious to that. People were manipulating me and gaslighting me and lying to me, and I was just totally oblivious. And like, oh, so I made that about me. Crap. I have to stop doing that. But Juliet is going through that. And I wish I could just jump through the pages and help her and be like, hey, this person is not good for you. You need to cut them out. They are actually such a terrible person. They are manipulating you. I wish I could just like jump through the pages and give her a hug and tell her that. Because I'm the kind of person that's like, if you're dumb, and if you make me mad by making dumb decisions and by being rude to people, I want to hug you and help you because you have problems, and I want to help you work through those problems. So yeah. Anyway, guys. I think I'm gonna call it there. I think I'm gonna call it there, guys, because unfortunately, as much as I would love to rant to you guys all day about Unravel Me, I think you guys are getting bored by now. I might put up a part 2 just in case you guys like aren't getting bored, and I might go into greater depth. So part 2 will probably have more spoilers and stuff. So if you haven't read Unravel Me, don't go watch part 2. I know most YouTubers don't ask you to not watch part 2. They're like, guys, go watch part 2. Like and sub. No, I'm gonna tell you guys straight up. I am going to spoil some things in part 2. So do not watch part 2 unless you have read from cover to cover of Unravel Me. Okay, guys, I will see you in the next video. Mwah!